and welcome to today's SANS webcast. Get ready for National Cybersecurity Awareness Month 2016. My name is Carol Auth of the SANS Institute, and I will be moderating today's webcast. Today's featured speakers are Michael Kaiser, Chief Executive of the National Cybersecurity Alliance, NCSA, and Lance Spitzner, Director of SANS Securing the Human. If during the webcast you have any questions for Michael or Lance, please enter them into the questions window located on the GoToWebinar interface. We will be answering them during the Q&A session at the end of the presentation. And just as a reminder, this session is being recorded, and a copy of the slides and recording of this webcast will be available for viewing later today and can be found on the SANS registration page. And with that, I'd like to hand the webcast over to Lance.
All right, Carol, thank you so much. Hey, folks, I'm going to make this real brief. I'm really excited to have the NCSA team join us on this webcast today, and especially Michael. If you're not familiar with NCSA, these folks are the folks that are in charge of and run National Cybersecurity Awareness Month for all the North America. In addition, they also lead the Stop, Think, Connect campaign. So when we were thinking, what can we do to help the community better prepare for National Cybersecurity Awareness Month, what better could we do than go to the very experts that are in charge of and lead this event. So I'm going to hand this over in a moment to Michael, but what's great about having Michael on board is he is in charge of and leads the organization itself. So you are about to hear from very much the horse's mouth exactly about what October is all about and how you can make the most of it. With that said, let me hand this off to Michael.
Thank you, Lance. And let me just start by saying how much we appreciate the opportunity to talk to this community. You know, it's really, really important. You are all very, very important part of what makes cybersecurity education awareness successful all year round. And obviously October is a high point for many of us in the year, but I want to just thank you for having us in, and thank you, Lance, for being a member of the National Cybersecurity Alliance Board of Directors. Your vision, your leadership, your help for me and the staff all year long is really very much a part of our success, so I can't tell you how appreciative we are of your participation and SANS participation in our efforts. So the title of this is National Cybersecurity Awareness Month, Be a Part of Something Big. So just by being on this call, you are now a part of something big. So let me talk a little bit about National Cybersecurity Awareness Month in general. This is the 13th annual October celebration of Cybersecurity Awareness Month. It is led by us, but we are in partnership, and leadership also comes from the Department of Homeland Security. That is the way it's been since the beginning, although NCSA was actually stood up before DHS was stood up. But when it comes to Awareness Month, we have built it together and led it together since its inception. And the reason that that's important is because Cybersecurity Awareness Month should reflect the public-private partnership that we all think is so critical in cybersecurity. And that's exactly the way it's been run from the beginning. That's the way we envision it running in the future, and that's the way we hope always people will frame their participation. Our theme for many years has been, it's our shared responsibility, and that speaks directly to the notion that no matter what you're doing online, and everybody's doing something, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, you have a responsibility to secure the cyber assets around you. And that can be from your home to the most complicated enterprise. Everybody has a role to play. So we're going to talk about a bunch of things on Cybersecurity Awareness Month and also Stop, Think, Connect. You'll see a lot of the things that we have available for the month. But you know, your questions are really important, and I feel like, you know, if we have an opportunity to answer your questions, then maybe we've done the best service we can for you today. So please feel free to ask them. And we will answer some at the end or as we go along if that's possible. So that's Cybersecurity Awareness Month. NCSAM, National Cybersecurity Alliance itself was founded, as I said, as a public-private partnership in 2001 with the mission of doing education and awareness in cybersecurity, with the mission of being a neutral third party promoting cybersecurity education and awareness, doing stakeholder engagements, getting companies and government agencies and nonprofit organizations to make cybersecurity education and awareness a priority, to develop broad, sweeping advice and messaging and a movement towards making the internet safer, secure, and more trusted. I can say that in the time that I've been here since 2008, we have really seen the maturity of cybersecurity as an issue. We have seen the maturity of cybersecurity as an issue of public concern, and yet we still have a tremendous amount of work to do. So we've been around for a long time, and I just wanted to show, people always wonder, well, okay, so like what really happens in October? And I'm showing you just some comparative results over the last few years in just a couple of different verticals, right? We have a lot of metrics that we collect, and we report on those. We have what we affectionately call our short report, which is available on our website, which can go into more detail. And people often ask me, how do you measure the success of Cybersecurity Awareness Month? Well, there's two ways that we do that. One is in some metrics, which I'll talk about in a second. But the most important metric to me is what you all do for Cybersecurity Awareness Month, because at its core and at its essence, it's a grassroots effort. And the way NCSA operates, and we believe is the right way in this space, is that we believe that people accept and act and change their behavior when the messages come from trusted sources. So when it comes from a source that they trust, they're more likely to listen to and act on that advice. Well, and those sources are you. You are the people when you're saying, whether you're in the workplace as someone who's supposed to be an authority, whether you're a parent talking to your children, whether you're a member of the community who's knowledgeable about this issue, whether you belong to an association or an organization that has legitimacy with its constituency, people are listening to you. And so we really believe that we build on that, and that grassroots piece is what ultimately gets us to having a culture of cybersecurity, because the messages are promulgated widely and fully and in a harmonized way, which I'll talk about a little bit later. So in 2015, we broke some new territory. Our scope and reach was just off the charts. This exposure is really about the brand of NCSAM in the media. We had a 226% increase in that. We collect all this in complicated ways. We look at media impressions, we look at articles, we look at pickup of press releases and re-pick up press releases and other people's things that they put out. But that exposure was tremendous. But I think here, you can see a couple of things that are really critical to us. One is we had a tremendous pickup in the number of unique articles. And for those of you who are in communications, we're talking about earned media here, right? Those are articles that were specifically written, and not only article, it could have been a broadcast segment about October. So a reporter actually wrote an article, didn't just take a press release and post it on a website, wrote something specific. We had 1,737 unique articles or broadcast segments. That was, a significant, I think it was a 20 or 30% increase over the previous year. The thing that was so satisfying about that for us is that what we saw last year, I think really significantly for the first time, was that we were starting to see articles and broadcast segments really outside, way outside of the traditional security media. Consumer reporters in small and medium-sized markets all around the country starting to write about Cybersecurity Awareness Month. Back to that trusted source model, these are trusted sources, right? People watch their local news. They know their local consumer advocate reporters. And when they start saying, here's how you stay safe online, we know that people are paying attention. Just a couple other stats which can show you some growth over time. Champions, which I'll talk about a little bit later in great depth, is a way that people kind of show support for NCSAM through the National Cybersecurity Alliance. You can see that, from 2012 to 2015, we've had phenomenal growth. Almost over 700 champions last year. That was 400 the year before. So again, a kind of measure of the stickiness, of the growth, of the momentum that we're starting to see. And in the gray bar, you see individual champions, which is something that we just started last year for the first time. It's always been, our champions have always been organizations, schools, municipalities, companies, all kinds of civic groups. state and local government, whatever. And now we've added individual champions. Obviously, when you think about influencers and you think about trusted sources, you know, peer-to-peer education is very, very important. I mean, who are you going to ask about how to do something but the people in your own network? What are they doing? How can they help you stay safe online? And then, you know, here's just some reach from the social universe. Many of you who may have participated in Twitter in October or maybe participated in one of our Twitter chats. Our hashtag is CyberAware. We changed that last year. It used to be NCSAM. And you can see that there were over 60,000 usages of the CyberAware hashtag. I believe the number of handles was quite large as well. So, and you can see back in 2012, you can't hear me. Uh-oh. Can you hear me? Can you indicate?
I can hear you, Michael.
Okay, great.
We can hear you fine, sir.
All right. Somebody thought I got cut off. Okay. Anyway, so the Twitter reach has been phenomenal. The social is a really important part of what we do. It's obviously a low-cost way of having a high reach. So, themes for 2016. Let me talk about themes for 1 second. When we first started Cybersecurity Awareness Month, it was all cybersecurity, every day, everything, in a mishmash of all the topics. And we found that to be rather confusing and also not meeting the needs of our stakeholders. Several years ago, I believe it was about 5 years ago, maybe 2010, we started to work with our partner at DHS and think about how could we theme out the month. And the purpose of the themes, and I hope this will be helpful to you all because this is one of the reasons that we did it, was that if we broke the month into weeks and each week had a theme, then people could figure out where to engage. There may be some people that want to engage in every week in every theme, but there may be some organizations or some groups for which a particular theme resonates even more strongly. And in that case, you could pick that week to engage in a way and focus your energies in that time frame. We've gotten a lot of positive feedback about that. It's certainly been incredibly helpful to us as an organizing principle around how we create materials and those kinds of things, which I'll also talk about a little bit. Anyway, I'll just go over these quickly. Look, stop, think, connect is our basic message, and I'll talk about this a little bit more. You know, take security precautions. Think about the consequences of your actions and connect and enjoy the internet with a little more peace of mind that you're doing what you need to do to be safe and secure. This is the, you know, look both ways before crossing message of the internet, the stop, drop, and roll message of the internet, right? The stop, look, and listen message of the internet. It's a classic public safety education message. It fits with the way we've educated people about staying safe in other environments in the past, and that's one of the reasons that we developed it. It was developed based on research with consumers, so we've tested the message as well. We always launch our month with a really strong focus on the basics, right? The ways we can all protect ourselves, keeping a clean machine that's not infected with malware, owning your online presence, thinking about the ways what you're posting online and what it means. When in doubt, throw it out. Being aware of phishing emails and the other kinds of scams that are coming across the ecosystem to you as a user. This is the focus of week one. We also talk about families, we also talk about kids, and all those other kinds of things, but it's really the basics for digital citizens. Week two, from the break room to the boardroom. This is probably one that applies to many of you on this call today. It's about creating a culture of cybersecurity in the workplace. We really believe that to be safe and secure in the workplace, you have to have cybersecurity, you know, from the top of the organization all the way down and everybody in between. And it's really about creating that culture. And one of the things I like to always say here is, you know, when you think about creating a culture of cybersecurity in the workplace, I think about other ways that we've created cultures of safety and security in the workplace. I think about times I've gone by either a manufacturing plant or a construction site, and I've seen a sign on the outside that says it's been, you know, 275 days since the last accident, right? Where that awareness is up front and the focus on safety is up front, and you can't get through the portals into the organization or onto the site without seeing the focus on safety and security. And we have to do that in cyber. It can't be done in a weekly, you know, monthly, you know, newsletter. I mean, we need all those things, but it has to be front and center, and so it's creating that culture all around the workplace, and that's what week 2 is really about. And again, like in our shared responsibility, inside the workplace, people have different responsibilities. The CEO and the board has different responsibilities than the IT department, which has different responsibilities than the HR department, which has different responsibilities than people who are using the systems themselves within a company in order to just do their job on a daily basis. Week 3 is recognizing and combating cybercrime. This year we've had this week in a couple of years in the past, and we took it off for a while, but now we've put it back on. And I'll talk a little bit about how we're really trying to approach this year a little differently than we have in the past. In the past, when we talked about cybercrime, it was usually about engaging law enforcement, right? It was about getting law enforcement and also local law enforcement to pay more attention to cybercrime, to engage them in educating their citizens about cybercrime. There was a huge focus mostly on financial crime. Obviously, financial crime, identity theft, data breaches, really important element of cybercrime that needs to be addressed. This year, we're going to talk about all of that, but we're also going to expand. We want people to start recognizing more the digital elements of other crime. There's a tremendous amount of cybercrime that happens in things like stalking or domestic violence, right? And other topics, looking at issues where people are being, encouraged to engage in extremism through, being approached on the internet. Cybercrime has really become a very broad array of activities, and we will always focus in this week on the collaborative efforts. How are people collaborating to fight cybercrime? What are they doing to work together? I think all of you who work at all in this field know that no one can solve this problem on their own, and especially in cybercrime, prosecutors and local law enforcement and federal law enforcement and international law enforcement all need to collaborate to really effectively address cybercrime. And so we'll be talking about all those things as well. Week 4 is our continuously connected lives, and the question is, what's your aptitude? This is sort of morphed into a week every year now where we try to have the forward thinking, like what are we doing in cybersecurity for the next wave of the new technology. Last year, and I think to a great degree this year, we'll be talking about connected devices, right? We'll be talking about the Internet of Things. How do we secure this Internet of Things at home, in the workplace, in our cars, on the go? What about smart cities? What about infrastructure that's now connected to the Internet in ways it never was before? We really need to spend some time thinking about these issues. We need to spend some time educating people about how to make that whole new element of the infrastructure of the Internet secure. So this is our kind of forward-thinking week. I will say, like on things like IoT, we have some advice for people, but I think it's a challenge, and I think it's an opportunity for people to discuss the coming technology and how we're going to secure it. And week 5, which this year is only one day, is really going to be about building resistance into the critical systems. This is the last day of October. It's only one day, but Critical Infrastructure Security and Resilience Month, which is also promoted out of the Department of Homeland Security, begins in November. So this is our kind of transitional day and theme to move people to start thinking again even more about critical systems, about infrastructure, and how we're going to secure all those things going forward. So those are the themes for the month. We're really excited about them all. And now I'll talk a little bit more about the kinds of things that we do really on a weekly basis to promote those things. So starting every week, usually on Monday, except on the week of Columbus Day, sometimes we do it on Tuesday, we put out a really broad sweeping press release. We talk about the theme of the week. We highlight any data that may talk about that theme. We talk about the kinds of things that people can do to make themselves more secure, their businesses more secure during those, if that's appropriate for that week. We often we try to highlight every week things other people are doing. Remember when I talked about that kind of grassroots approach? We try to highlight, here's some of the events that we know about that are happening this week that we think really well represent the kinds of activities that people engage in October. We get those ideas, either from people emailing us directly or because they've listed events on our website, which you're more than welcome to do if you're having a public event. And we try to highlight those things. And we do that actually because it often gives ideas to folks like you about what they could or should be doing next year for Cybersecurity Awareness Month. We'll always have an infographic of some sort that speaks to the week. You can see here, you know, on the right-hand side of the slide, that was one from. There's a couple from last year, right? Like creating a culture of cybersecurity in your business. That was really directed a lot towards small businesses. You see one on the Internet of Things. We have memes for social. We have sample social media posts. We actually have sample social media posts for every single day of the month that you're more than welcome to use. And you're more than welcome to cut and paste or to retweet. We have a Keystone event every week. I'll talk about that a little bit more in a second. We try to have as much new data as possible. Studies are really critical to us. For those of you who've known NCSA for a long time, you know that one of our foundational efforts has always been around data. We used to do actually what we called our home user study back when AOL was a member of NCSA or and you know, one of the leaders of the internet, and we actually interviewed home users, and we actually scanned people's computers to see how up to date, for example, their security software was. Obviously, you can't do that anymore, but those kinds of things where we looked at what people were telling us they were doing online versus what they were actually doing online to stay safe. We still very much believe in studies. Last year, we did a great study behind digital doors, which looked at families and home security, home internet security. We've been doing a regular study now with Raytheon. We did that study with ESET. We've been doing a regular study with Raytheon for the last few years about millennials' attitudes towards cybersecurity careers. Obviously, cybersecurity careers a very, very big issue. Attracting workforce, a very, very important issue. And we will be weaving that theme throughout the entire month. So, for example, in the Cybercrime Week, we'll talk about careers in cybersecurity, specifically in law enforcement. And, you know, I'm trying to talk about those issues and raising them to young people so that they can get engaged. Every week, every Thursday at 3 p.m., there's a Twitter chat. The hashtag is ChatSTC. Please join us. They are incredibly vibrant discussions. I mean, we have millions and millions of impressions off each one of those. Sometimes we have multiple thousands of tweets, retweets, and mentions of what goes on. It is an incredible platform for expanding our reach, and an incredible platform for you to get recognized in the community as a leader in the field. So we encourage people to join the Twitter chats. And then if you're a champion, well actually, or you're on our mailing list, which you can do for free on our website, or if you become a champion, we send out a collateral email. So usually just prior to the next week, usually on Thursday, we send out an email that has the press release, the memes, the infographics, anything that you can use to, you know, to engage in the activities in the following week. So if you want to be totally looped in, you should participate in that. Just a quick couple of events updates. This year we're launching in Seattle. We're working with the Chief Information Security Officer of the state of Washington and the Washington state government. We're going to be doing, you know, a couple of events on Wednesday and Thursday throughout the state. This is something we started to do in the last few years, is to take the launch on the road. We'd always done it in DC, but we find it's really, really productive, and it's a great way to really saturate a local community with information. We'll be doing some work out in Memphis the next week, where we'll be talking about the culture of cybersecurity. We've been working with FedEx and the FedEx Institute of Technology at the University of Memphis to host an event about cybersecurity in the workplace. We'll be going to Los Angeles to talk about cybercrime with LA County and the City of LA on a cybercrime event. We're going to have a lot of multi-agency discussions, really excited. And you know, what's really been great for us, and I'll throw this out there for you guys to all think about 2017 already. I'm almost scared to mention that. These are events that people came to us that they were cooking up, and we're like, well, we'd like to come work with you on that event. We think that could be a keystone event for the month. And they're great examples of the kinds of events that people are growing around the country for October. You know, 5 years ago, we would have to spark all those events. We'd have to make them happen ourselves. Now people are creating them, and we're trying to help them make them better. And that's just really a wonderful opportunity for all of us. I'll go back one here. It's not on here, but on week 4, we will be doing what we've done for the last 5 years, which we will be closing the NASDAQ market. That's something we've done for the last several years. It's terrific. We get great media pickup. and to be, and the NASDAQ marketplace in the crossroads of the world in Times Square discussing cybersecurity and having a focus on cybersecurity has been a great way for us to get our message out to people around the country and frankly probably further given the importance of that marketplace. So here's some things that you all can think about doing. I know many of you on this call may already be actively engaged in awareness activities, so that's great and we really appreciate that. But just, some things that you can do, post short messages and online safety tips on your own internal messaging boards during October. Go and get our resources like our posters and hang them in common areas. Create your own posters and hang them in common areas. Have a poster contest among your own employees and hang those in common areas. Find the way, again, like that sign on the work site about how many days since the last accident, to put this front and center. What do you have by the water cooler, if anybody still has a water cooler, on cybersecurity, or the copier machine, or the break room, or wherever people congregate in your workplace that sends a message about what they can be doing. Highlighting your own use policies. We have general principles about cybersecurity, but most companies have their own rules about what people can or can't do. Reminding them of those during October. Reissuing the policies that you have in October so people can be reminded is a great thing to do. Having training for those people in October is a great thing you can do. So, just engaging, right? Host a lunch and learn. I know a lot of organizations use this month to bring in outside experts, right? Have someone come in and talk about it. Talk about, or a specific issue, right? We know that a lot of people like to hear about how to keep their kids safe online. That encourages us to come forward and listen. Obviously, the things that you teach kids to stay safe online is very similar to how we teach adults to stay safe online, right? So, there are many different ways you can engage people. Have a volunteer day. Go out. Those are some of you who might work in the IT industry or have that as your background, or you maybe have a large IT department. Go into the community and teach young people about cybersecurity. We have a ton of materials ready to go at StaySafeOnline.org, but also if you belong to, if you're a member of, for example, ISC Squared, they have materials as well. There's plenty of groups that have materials. We're very materials agnostic. What we want you to do is to get out in the community and teach other people, young people or even adults, about cybersecurity. And if you're talking to young people, I will make this pitch to you. Please, please talk to them about careers in cybersecurity. The research we have out there shows that most young people have never met a cybersecurity professional or understand the career opportunities in cybersecurity or the diversity of careers in cybersecurity. And adults are powerful voices to young people. If you can inspire one young person to even give a serious consideration or to join a cyber challenge, that's going to be tremendously helpful to us. Give certificates of achievement to employees. Some of you have heard about things like Hacktober at Facebook or other internal awareness programs where they actually have little competitions. Can you spot a phishing email? Can you spot another security kind of incident? Maybe they're making them up and putting them out there for people to actually identify them. Can you reward people for that? Give them a certificate. Give them give them a better parking space. Whatever. And you can download Facebook's Hacktober materials on Facebook. I think in their security area, and they have a really robust, incredible program that's been based on their internal culture and the culture of Facebook. But that's the kind of things they do, and they also bring in outsiders to talk. And they also have internal, like Facebook pages of their own where people can talk about security or report things and have discussions about it. It's part of how you create that culture, and it's really, really critical. So get involved in social media. I think I already mentioned how important this is. The hashtag is CyberAware. We use the CyberAware hashtag all year round. Please feel free to use it. It's a growing community. It's a place where you can post things or your own thoughts or ideas or tips for people staying safe online. You can also direct people to any resources that you have or to any events that you have, or to encourage people to follow you on Twitter if that's what you want to do. You can download our social media content. It's on our website, StaySafeOnline.org/NCSAM. Like I said, we have posts for Facebook, Twitter. We have memes. We have other graphics that can all be used across social and other web properties. Please feel free to use them. NCSA does not charge for the use of these materials. The Department of Homeland Security has amazing materials as well. at dhs.gov/cyber. You may have other organizations that you think have great materials. Go get materials and use them. You do not have to reinvent the wheel here. So please, please, please feel free. And by the way, just on NCSA's websites, except for Stop and Connect, which I'll talk about in a second, if you see something on StaySafeOnline.org and you just want to cut and paste it, you do not need permission from us. We are open source totally. Take it, use it. You don't even have to credit us. If you do, thank you. If you don't, that's fine too. Just get the word out. Like I said, Twitter chats every Thursday at 3 p.m. Possibly a couple of special ones going on as well. Join us. Encourage other people to join us. We memorialize every Twitter chat, usually within 24 hours after the Twitter chat, in a blog posting on StaySafeOnline.org, so you can go and review them if you didn't get a chance to participate.
Excuse me, Michael?
Yeah.
Someone is wondering if by 3 p.m. are you referring to Eastern time zone?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Great question.
Okay,
3 p.m. Eastern. I should have said that. I don't mean to be Eastern-centric, but that's when we do it. And become a champion. So champions are really, really important to us. Champions are organizations, now individuals, colleges, local schools, municipalities, that just show their support by signing up to be a champion. And usually they're indicating that they're also doing something else in the month, right? You know, just even by signing up a champion, you're telling us that you're engaged in the month. It's really the official way to show your support, and it helps us demonstrate to the rest of the world how important cybersecurity is to this incredible breadth of organizations. So champions, you know, when you become, you know, of all sizes, and you get, you know, I can talk a little bit about more of the program in a second, but you can get there at StaySafeOnline.org/NCSAM/champions to sign up. And of course, then you'll be looped into all our activities and all our emails and all those kinds of good things. So it's really helpful. It's, you know, it's one thing that you can do for us that helps us make our month more successful. Hopefully we're doing a lot for you to help your month be successful as well. Sign up for free. We'll feature you. You get a toolkit of materials, and you can share your awareness efforts and initiatives. If you want to consider, you know, writing a blog for us, we'd love to have you. Of course, you can post your events on our site as well. That you don't have to be a champion to post your events, so please feel free to use our you know, events page to promote your events. Just a couple of things so you can see what some of our, you know, these are what champions have done, but they've given it, you know, some ideas for what other people have done across the country during October. Cyber Savvy Kids, which is actually, I believe, out of Atlanta, is actually a series of books written by a gentleman down there. They have a Young Digital Citizens. They have a run, right, in October, and it's around, you know, the Cyber Savvy Kids is about keeping young people. It's actually directed towards, you know, I believe like first and third graders, not middle schoolers. I mean, it's a very young age, and even preschool possibly, about staying safe online. The Georgia Bankers Association, they contributed to their own membership, right? So that's an association. They created materials for their membership, op-eds, customizable news release, tip sheets for customers to use in the banks that belong to them, shared content via social. For those of you that have constituencies like that, it's really an incredible service to them to be able to provide some ready-made materials to go. We find that, you know, incredibly powerful. Like I said, back to the trusted network kind of model. When a bankers association says to its members, Cybersecurity Awareness Month is important, cybersecurity is important, we're going to make it easy for you, here's some materials that you can use for your customers right away. Those association members automatically accept that information, will use it, they consider it to be legitimate, they don't have to worry about where it came from, they don't have to go back and say, oh, well, that National Cybersecurity Awareness Month, who are they? Is their information any good? You know, they trust their association or their, you know, that relationship. It could be the same relationship you might have even with your customers or with vendors or with others. So use the power of your position to influence others to get engaged. Just a couple others, Connecticut Colleges. Colleges actually are really strong participants in Cybersecurity Awareness Month. We've been working since the beginning of time with EDUCAUSE, which is the Association of IT Directors on college campuses. They're And so they've promoted a lot of different things there. But here's just one, and from Connecticut Colleges, there's literally hundreds of colleges participating in Cybersecurity Awareness Month. They had presentations highlighting security efforts, they had a discussion about a cyber battlefield featuring industry expert and alumni from FireEye, and they had 3 Speak to the Geek sessions where students could get technical information. And even on very specific things like loading virus protection. At Griffith Institute, they hung posters around the facility. They and seen by those, I guess they rent out some rooms, and they distributed certificates and buttons to their employees, I guess, who did well. And the United Way of Dallas, ran daily contests to determine awareness based on the security content available in the office. Winners received Spammy Awards. That's great. Made by the IT staff, and GAG Awards. And they issued $100 to any one employee who could catch the vice president of IT's computer unlocked when he was absent. So that's kind of the thing that Facebook does in October too. They actually make these kinds of little things that people are supposed to try and identify, like maybe someone will try to, an employee of course, will try to sneak in, and when someone badges in, and if you catch them, you get an award and all those kinds of things. So, I mean, can we make cybersecurity fun? Maybe we can. And then I'm going to talk a little about hero stories. So, for the last 35 minutes or so, I've been talking about all the things that people can do in awareness and all the awareness that has to happen. And a lot of times in October, that's what we're focused on. Here's as a community or a citizen or as a business, all the things you need to do. But one of the things we started last year really thinking about was how can we highlight what's happening in cyber that's good? So much we hear about is bad. So much, we hear about the breach, right? There's obviously been a pretty big one discussed this week. There's always one happening. But there's a lot of good things happening in cyber too. So we've started pushing what we call hero stories, which are trying to increase awareness of the good things that are happening in cyber, whether it's collaborations in law enforcement, whether it's the way an individual company maybe tracks and monitors or has operation centers that focus on cyber, whether it's workforce development issues or leaders in cybersecurity who are doing amazing work, or the way industry may have collaborated to attack an issue like phishing or those kinds of things. So we try to highlight those because we want people to know that the news is not all bad in cyber. Last year we've had a bunch of these stories, but one we had that we're really happy was, and was a big breakthrough for us, we actually were able to work with Facebook and get a segment on the Today Show that highlighted what the company is doing around not only its internal awareness, which was great, but also how people can stay safer on their own platform. And it was really interesting because it was one of the few times I've seen a story on awareness and cybersecurity that was not related to an incident. It was just general, right? And I think that's terrific that it's not, that it wasn't incident-based. Anyway, it aired on the Today Show on October 20th. And had incredible pickup, as sometimes happens with these kinds of segments. More than 80 local stations picked up the story and replayed in whole or part of it, or used part of that content to help educate their own local markets. So Stop, Think, Connect. This is the global program. I talked about that for a second to help people stay safer online. It's this simple, actionable advice, right? Take security. Think about the consequences. Use critical thinking before you do things online. Enjoy the internet. What you should know about Stop, Think, Connect was that it was created by 25 companies and 7 federal agencies working in collaboration, conducting market-based consumer research to find a message that would resonate with people and capture their attention and encourage them to learn more and act. And that's what Stop, Think, Connect is. It's simple, it's memorable, it's something that could be taught by anyone to anyone else. It's non-technical, right? And that's how you create that culture of cybersecurity, by giving people these simple things they can do. Obviously, you have to build on this, making sure you have security measures in place means things like keeping a clean machine and keeping your software up to date, means using the strongest authentication possible for the sites that you can use, right? Those kinds of excuse me, things that we want people to do. Think about what you post online. Think about what you post about other people online. Share with care about online, right? Protect your personal information. It's valuable. It's like money. Those are the kinds of messages that we're purveying in the Stop, Think, Connect messaging platform. excuse me there for a second, a little cough. So you can join the campaign. It's easy and it's free. Everything that we do, like I said, is free, and most of our stuff is 100% cut and paste. But to use Stop Think Connect, you can use any Stop Think Connect materials on the stopthinkconnect.org website that are there that you see, you can use, you can download. You don't need any permission from us. If you would like to use Stop Think Connect in an integrated campaign, which we, by the way, have more than 600 partners now across the globe that use it in this way, so that you want to put Stop Think Connect branding on your own materials, right, that you may be using for employees or in your own community, you need to sign a license, but it is free. The license is just really about, protecting the brand and the trademark and sort of the colors, and there's an editorial component. We do not want Stop Think Connect used in a negative way. It's a positive, empowering message about encouraging people to get the most out of the internet. Once you're a partner, you get a ton of stuff from us, and including you can access a partners-only area of the website, which has materials that you can brand for your own company or organization very easily, sort of, a lot of template-type materials with our tips and advice on it. We constantly pushing out things through Stop Think Connect. Here's just like an example down below of a tip sheet. This year we did a whole pitch around cyber secure weddings. We did a digital bliss push in the spring. We did a cyber trip advisor push at the beginning of the summer for traveling safely online. So we take a lot of the messages that we all use and put them into buckets that we think are appropriate to reach different verticals in media, as also different verticals of people who might be about to engage in things where they should be more cyber secure, like how do you stay cyber secure over the summer when you're going on vacation, right? These are materials that also could be good if you have employees. Your employees might be taking vacation, and how do you remind them to stay cyber secure while they're on the road or while they're traveling for work even? There's a lot of great awareness sites. Like I said, it's not just about NCSA. It's not just about our materials. Our partner, the Department of Homeland Security, has a huge array of materials. They have great materials. They use, obviously, they're our partner in Stop Think Connect on the federal side. And, I encourage you to stop by and see what they have. The Federal Trade Commission, many of you, may know or heard of On Guard Online. They're also a Stop Think Connect user and partner. You will find great stuff there. For those who don't know, they actually moved On Guard Online to not be its own separate domain. It's now under the consumer.ftc.gov site. So that was something they did as a part of a consolidation of the Federal Trade Commission's websites. I think it was a great move on their part. So it's more integrated and people can get to it even more easily who might not have found it on their own. So, but I know a lot of you probably already use On Guard Online, great resource. We've worked very closely now for several years with the Better Business Bureau, the BBB, the Council. This is the BBB that is the membership arm of all the local BBBs. Terrific stuff they have on cybersecurity. They have a lot of our materials. They use Stop Think Connect. They create a lot of their own materials. They have a great new program called, I'm pretty sure it's Scamcaster, but I may have it wrong. And they actually have people now reporting in scams from all over the country. They have heat maps you can look and see in your own area. For example, if people are falling prey to certain kinds of scams, you can tailor a response, directly to, possibly if there's things in your community that are going on that you need to know about. And that's it from my end. Here's how you can, the many, many ways you can reach us, at Stay Safe Online and Twitter, Stay Safe Online on Facebook, Stop Think Connect. And no, that's not a typo. There's no I in think, only because Twitter has a maximum handle length, and this is the one we came up with, and Instagram and Facebook for Stop Think Connect. You can sign up at StaySafeOnline.org, about us, contact us, and you can join our mailing list and receive all those things. The portal, again, for October is StaySafeOnline.org/NCSAM. And now I will turn it over to our fearless leader, Lance.
All right, Michael, thanks so much. We have quite a few questions, so folks will be handing this off to you very soon. The one thing I just wanted to make you folks aware of is we have some additional events to help you and help you take advantage of October. So first of all, next week we have the Security Awareness Summit, which Michael and his team will be at and he'll be speaking at. But also you'll notice that Michael covered a tremendous number of wonderful resources to help you out for October. And sometimes it can be a little confusing. Gee, where do I start? So what we're doing at SANS Securing the Human is we're putting together a planning kit just for National Cybersecurity Awareness Month. And the planning kit will kind of be an execution checklist. Email templates, resources, where to start, where to end, things like that. And we're going to release that at the end of August. So if you're interested, on 30 August, we're going to be having another webcast on the planning kit and how to take the advantage of all these wonderful resources Michael and these other organizations have made available. And then finally, we'll have the another awareness summit in Europe, as you see there on 11 November. You can learn about all of these and more events at our URL there, securingthehuman.sans.org/events. Carol, let's hand this back over to you and then see if we can answer some of those questions.
All right, thanks Michael for that great presentation. As Lance said, we have quite a few questions, so I'll just jump in. I'm going to start with the oldest one. How internal audit can contribute to the cybersecurity awareness in the organization? That sounds like a statement to me.
Well, I think they absolutely should. I mean, look, I think leadership and cybersecurity awareness can come from anyone in an organization. I know some organizations we see more and more now, and thanks to the fantastic work of people like, Securing the Human and SANS and Lance and others, we're seeing much, much more, internal awareness. But if there's not leadership within your organization, then be the leader and help people understand what they can do. Now, we can't speak to specifics. Some organizations may actually have requirements to engage in awareness in certain kinds of ways. So people who are responsible for compliance within an organization can be helpful by making sure people are doing the best job they can comply.
All right, thanks. Who are the audiences for each of the week's themes? It sounds like only week one has a theme that is suitable for anyone.
Yeah, well, I can understand how you might take that away. I mean, certainly week one is for everyone. We actually think most weeks are applicable to everyone, or let's say vast majorities, right? Because even creating a culture of cybersecurity in the workplace is really directed towards employees, right, as well as specific elements within an organization like the C-suite. So that's a pretty broad-reaching, that's people who work, right? We want to be cyber secure, which is a pretty big chunk of the American population. Cybercrime is really, again, directed towards helping just the general public prevent becoming victims of cybercrime. We also actually focus on people who have become victims of cybercrime to help them understand what their options are for either reporting cybercrime or the kinds of things they can do to prevent it from happening again. So again, a very broad approach. It may be more specific sometimes, talking, like I think I mentioned earlier, about things like financial crime or identity theft or those kinds of things. But still, those are issues that are a broad concern to the general public, not just to law enforcement or other, or governmental organizations. Week four, as we look at the Internet of Things, again, that might be a little slimmer, but I think our hope there is that as people start to think about implementing more connected devices, although the research we did last year, I was kind of surprised. We asked people if they had controlled any other device off their smartphone, and 25% of people said they had controlled a different device off their smartphone at some point. So we're starting to see that penetration, so we want people to be, again, sometimes cybersecurity is proactive. Okay, before you hook up that connected doorbell or that video camera in your home, are you doing what you can to make sure that it's a secure device or that you're doing it securely? So I think a lot of it is pretty far-reaching, really, at the end of the day, although one of the goals of having themes was to not like people feel overwhelmed, was to try and get some verticals that we could focus on as well.
All right, thanks. I have about 3 to 4 questions that relate to your posters and other resources. The first one says, I like the poster for creating a culture of cybersecurity in your business. Wondering, it seems like it's for business leaders and not the general population. Do you agree?
Well, I think, again, the focus a little bit on that one was about what steps a business should take. And I think it is focused on businesses starting to be more cyber secure. I think, you know, the businesses in this country range from extremely small, like, you know, mom and pop or just mom or just pop, you know, to the middle to the very large enterprise. A lot of our efforts in October and year-round are directed toward those businesses that have yet to start thinking about cybersecurity, and we're really trying to make it easy and accessible for them to engage in cybersecurity and to get started. We actually have some programs we've been working on for the last, we're starting to roll out around, you know, a super simplified version of the NIST framework for small businesses to just start thinking about what assets do I have to protect. So yeah, I mean, that's part of the reason to have the theme, is so that there's relevant materials for certain stakeholders so that they can find themselves in the cybersecurity discussion.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to read a couple of these together because they're related for sure. The first one is, will we run into copyright issues with your posters at our organization? And piggybacking on that, I have been trying to get our legal department to sign your free use license, but did I just hear you say that we can use graphics, etc., without getting permission?
Okay, so question number one, you can use our poster, no problem. Question, yeah, we don't copyright those things. Question two, you can use anything that you can see as a, you know, when you go to the StopThinkConnect.org website, that you can download a tip sheet, a poster, all that stuff you can use without signing a license. If you want to start taking the Stop Think Connect brand and putting it on your own material, so like say, you know, Acme International wants to start an internal Stop Think Connect program for its employees and start creating tip sheets that maybe use some of our advice but have your acceptable use policy on it, or, you know, do other kinds of things, or very specific advice for your workplace, you need to sign a license. I will say, you know, if your legal department has questions, we're happy to answer them. We've been known to make modifications if they're not, you know, look, we have a lot of different lawyers looking from different perspectives in different states and different parts of the world. We're pretty flexible when it comes to most of the terms in the license, and we'll make changes if we have to. So don't, you know, engage in a dialogue with us about that if you need to. We like to sign people on because we also like to get you into our network and, you know, to show and to encourage you to participate and to get, you know, we have, you know, like monthly newsletters that go out that highlight all the new materials and those kinds of things which you get when you sign the license.
All right, thank you. And additionally, they want to know, how do I add my company logo to these resources?
So that, you know, well, like I said, if you become a licensee of Stop Think Connect, you can, you know, you can get some templates which are very easy to do it. Really, I think you just need to talk to your design folks. Most of our stuff, PDF, other kinds of things, you know, they usually can manipulate those. I think some of our documents are available also as Word documents, which obviously can be very easily, you know, used and manipulated. So you just need to talk to the design folks or some design folks. If there's a specific thing that you're having difficult with, you can just email us at info@StaySafeOnline.org, and maybe we can see if there's a way we can help you if there was a specific material that you're having difficulty with.
All right, thanks. We have several questions about champions. Do we need to sign up as champions each year? We've signed up in the past, but I think our school name disappears from your list of champions by the following year. And someone else says, if we signed up last year, do we need to sign up again?
Yeah, yes, we do. We really do. Just for, you know, various reasons, need people to sign up each year. We don't want to just to assume that everyone's a champion. You just have to reaffirm your commitment. The form is very easy and it's online. So yes, please do. We really, really count on you all to be champions. It's really, really important to us. But yes, you have to sign up each year.
Okay. Do champions post, this isn't quite phrased correctly, but do you champions post their various current or past activities they do throughout the month on a centralized NCSA site?
Yeah, so we don't have like a portal for posting what you do. Maybe that's something we can consider. We will come to you shortly after the month with an email and ask you to tell us what you've done. We really need those, or you can just send us an email anytime, info@StaySafeOnline.org, and say, here's all the activities we've done for October. We actually really review all those things. I can't tell you how important those are to us. We actually report to DHS, who funds this effort with us, what we call our long report, which is quite long, which actually one of the highlights of that is putting in as much as we can about what happened around the country for Cybersecurity Awareness Month. We will also take things that we think are extraordinary and put those in other kinds of things. And we do have an events page, so if you're having a public event and you want to post it, you can just do that right through the website. And that stuff we actually, capture all along the way as well. So that's another way of sort of, posting to us what you're doing online. But we love to hear what people are doing. We are always impressed, intrigued, and blown away by the creativity of people when they engage in awareness activities. And we just, we just love to hear it, and we love to share, if you give us permission, with other people the good work that you're doing, because it actually inspires other people to get involved.
All right, and one more question regarding champions. I'm registered as an individual champion. Will I still receive information relevant to be used for my business as well?
You likely will, but if you feel like you need to get more information, just again email us and we'll get you on our, I believe you'll also be put on our general email list, but I don't have the answer to that question right now.
All right, thanks. This question came in about 25 minutes ago, and I'm not sure what it's referencing, but she writes, could we translate as well? Do you?
Oh, yes, I think you could. We have some Spanish on stopthinkconnect.org. We also have some other languages on stopthinkconnect.org. We have some translation of some basic tip sheets in about 7 languages. I would say if you want to translate, we'd be thrilled. And I would ask that person, if they're still on the line, if they're translating stuff and if they want to share it back with us, we would be delighted. We really would love to build our translations. It's not something that we can, we have a ton of resources for. We've gotten some help in the past. We have some partners, Stop Think Connect, for example, in South America and other parts of the world who've done some translations for us. We love translations. So yes, you can translate. And if you can share it back with us, we'd be forever grateful.
All right, thank you. Speaking of partners, will there be ways to advertise cybersecurity awareness events given by partners through the NCSAM website?
Yeah, I sort of spoke to that already. You can certainly do through the events page. That would be great. And we do look at those, and sometimes we even pluck some of those off and put them into our press releases for the week. You're certainly more than welcome to promote stuff through the hashtag CyberAware. It really is very active. It's active now, but it's active even more in October. So, hook your star to anything that we have that relates to what you're doing. You're more than welcome to come into a tweet chat and promote your event. So please, all these things are used to help dissemination. So be very creative and use resources that are out there that we're providing.
All right, thanks. Sonoma County, California is working to establish a partnership for NCSAM to cities, universities, etc. Do you have any tips or tricks to establish the partnership? I'm thinking of co-branding posters from the posters we received from MSISAC.
Right. Yeah. So great question, and that's MSISAC, which for the rest of you is the Multi-State Information Sharing and Analysis Center, which is really the membership organizations of state, local, county, municipal government, security folks. Yeah, and I don't have the direct link to in our website. We do have a part in our website on StaySafeOnline about actually community collaborations on cybersecurity. We are really encourage people to do that. I think what a fantastic notion to go and co-brand with, if you're the local government, to co-brand, or the county government, sounds like in this case, with your university, with your, perhaps if you're the county, with other municipalities within the county. Go ahead and do it. And, we have seen a few instances of that where people take a poster and put everybody's, seal on the bottom, or, list some websites that are available. I think it's really important in general that people understand that their local government or their city government, their municipal, their county government, their state government, or other leading organizations within their geographical area are also committed to this issue. When I talk about trusted sources, these are trusted sources, right? People look to their local government when they're trying to solve problems in their community. People look to their, to the institutions in their community that they already trust around issues of all stripes. So we really promote that. I think there's a lot of different ways you could do it. You could even co-brand a website. Or you could have a website that sat on the county government, but that listed all the partners within the county and all the things that are happening in your county during Cybersecurity Awareness Month. So if there's things happening on a college campus, or if there's a presentation in a school, or if people are going to go out to the PTA and talk, or if you're going to have a some kind of town meeting, and then resources for your communities. Look, most of these communities have, many of them have listservs that are active that you can send information down. Law enforcement, often has crime prevention officers who could be talking about this. They have DARE officers that can go into schools. If you think about the way that a community can organize to reach its own citizens, to educate them on this issue, you have the potential to reach almost everybody in your community if you organize and collaborate. And so if you do that, let us know, because there's a few of them out there. They're securing our eCity in San Diego. There's the in Washtenaw County, Michigan. There's some stuff happening in Western Michigan around collaborations of this type. There's some stuff down with Etiology in South Carolina. There are some things going on, but that's still nascent, and we'd love to see more of it.
All right. Well, with that, we're out of time. Michael, could you maybe flip back to the slide where people could submit questions that we weren't able to answer today? Was that on the one before this?
Oops, sorry, hold on one second. Sorry.
Okay.
I have to get rid of that little box.
Okay, thanks. There's just still, several more questions, and I hate to leave them hanging. So, all right. So if we weren't able to answer your question today, you can go ahead and contact someone in the slide presented there. And thank you so much, Michael and Lance, for your great presentation, which helps bring this content to the SANS community. To our audience, we greatly appreciate you listening in. For a schedule of all upcoming and archived SANS webcasts, including this one, you can visit sans.org/webcasts. Until next time, take care, and we hope to have you back again for the next SANS webcast.